Let's piss some people off.
Most people think relationships end with explosions, cheating, betrayal, screaming fights, but that's not what's happening anymore. What's happening now is quieter. People are staying while slowly disappearing. They stop arguing, they stop asking, they stop explaining. Not because they don't care, but because caring started to feel like bleeding. And the hardest relationships to leave aren't the toxic ones. They're the ones who nothing is wrong, but nothing feels like home. Hi, and welcome to I'm Spice, the podcast. If you're new here, I'm really glad you found your way into this space. And if you've been here for a while now, thank you for being here, for listening, for choosing conversations that require honesty instead of denial. Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and follow everything we're building here. It helps these conversations reach the people who don't yet have the language for what they're feeling. But now, something is off. Now let's talk. There is a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being with someone who no longer reaches for you emotionally. And that loneliness is confusing because you're not abandoned, you're not mistreated, you're not unloved in obvious ways, you're just unfed. Emotional neglect is not a storm, it's a drought. Nothing dramatic happens. There's no single moment you can point to and say, that's when it broke. It's like living in a house where the lights are on, the door is unlocked. The furniture is still there, but the warmth is gone. You stop feeling chosen, you stop feeling seen, you stop feeling known. And because nothing is technically wrong, you start doubting yourself. You tell yourself, they're good to me, they're not abusive, they show up. But love isn't just physical presence. Love is curiosity. Love is emotional availability. Love is someone wanting to know you. Know who you are today, not who you were when they met you. Love asks, how are you? Really, how are you? And stays long enough to hear the answer. When that disappears, something inside of you starts to go quiet. At first, you fight for it. You explain your feelings in different ways, hoping one version will finally land. You soften your tone. You choose your words carefully. You tell yourself, if I just explain it better, they'll understand. But eventually, your body learns something your mind hasn't accepted yet. This place is not safe for your vulnerability. And that's when the quiet quitting begins. Quiet quitting is not giving up, it's self preservation. It's when you realize that asking costs you more than staying silent. It's when your nervous system decides it would rather go numb than keep on hoping. You don't stop loving them. You stop offering yourself where you are not received. The conversations get shorter. The questions stop. The emotional risks disappear. And on the outside, things look calm. But inside, it feels like living on emotional standby mode. This is where people get stuck because they confuse the absence of conflict with peace. But peace isn't the absence of tension. Peace is the presence of safety and connection. Numbness is not peace, unfortunately. Silence is not intimacy. And this is where burnout enters the relationship. Often, one partner shuts down emotionally. They withdraw, they avoid depth, they go quiet, and the other partner becomes the emotional engine of the relationship. They carry the conversations, they initiate repair, They track the emotional temperature of the relationship. They keep the connection alive by themselves alone until one day their body says, I can't do this anymore. When one partner shuts down, the other burns out trying to compensate. This isn't about effort, it's about nervous system. One learned to survive by disappearing, and the other learned to survive by over functioning. But both are coping, neither feels met. Another layer people struggle with is confusing stability with emotional absence. If you grew up in chaos, calm can feel suspicious. If you're used to emotional highs and lows, peace can feel kind of boring. So you land in a relationship that's quiet and assume it's healthy, but there's a difference between calm and empty. Stability doesn't mean emotional starvation. It doesn't mean you stop growing, dreaming, or being curious about each other. Someone can feel safe and still leave you emotionally hungry. Safety keeps you from leaving. Connection is what makes you want to stay. And when connection is missing, people don't leave right away. They adapt. Usually adapt to what they're currently living because there's no chaos. Now, I want to slow down here because this is where recognition happens. A lot of people listening are thinking, this sounds familiar, but how do I know if this is actually me? So let's talk about real moments, not theory. Ask yourself if these things used to matter and they don't matter as much anymore. For example, you used to care if they asked how your day was. Now, if they don't ask, you tell yourself it doesn't matter. You used to want to share your thoughts, your fears, your dreams. Now you keep them to yourself because explaining feels exhausting. You used to bring things up when something felt off. Now you just let days, weeks, even months pass without saying anything. You used to want quality time. Now you'd rather be alone than feel unseen, sitting right next to them, because that's what it feels like. You used to imagine the future together. Now you avoid thinking too far ahead because it feels empty. You stopped asking for reassurance, affection, or depth, not because you stopped needing it, but because needing it started to feel embarrassing. That's not maturity, that's literally resignation. Another sign people don't talk about is that you stop missing them when they're gone. Not because you don't love them, but because you already learned how to function without emotional support. Unfortunately, your body adapted, and that adaptation is not fulfillment. Now, ask yourself honestly, when something good happens in my life, is my partner the first person I want to tell, or do I hesitate? When I'm overwhelmed, do I feel comforted by my partner, or do I self-soothe by pulling away? Do I feel emotionally quieter now than I used to be? If my partner suddenly became emotionally present tomorrow, would I feel relieved or would I feel unfamiliar? Because when emotional absence lasts that long and long enough, even connection can feel foreign to us. And this hurts because there's no villain, there's no betrayal, no dramatic ending, just a slow erosion. Like standing in water that rises so gradually you don't notice until you realize you've been holding your breath for a very, very long time. And the grief isn't just about the relationship, it's about yourself. The parts of you that went quiet, the needs you learned to swallow, the version of you that used to reach for connection freely but it's no longer there. If this episode stirs something in you, don't rush to label it. Just sit with it. Awareness doesn't mean making a decision today. It means stopping the self-betrayal. I want to leave you with two questions to reflect on after this episode ends. Am I still choosing this relationship, or am I just maintaining it? And what would it look like to choose myself without immediately judging that choice? You don't need answers right now. You just need to sit with that. Awareness comes first, clarity comes next, and action comes last. If this conversation resonated with you, share this episode with someone who needs it. Leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe and follow everything we're building here at I Am Spice, the podcast, because these conversations really matter and you are not alone in them. I'll see you guys in the next one. Love you bunches.
And remember, we're unfiltered, unapologetic, and unstoppable. That's that.